What occurs when the most precious item is taken away from an individual who would do everything to preserve it? A humble man who lives in Brooklyn Heights. Keanu Reeves has a special bond with Buddy, an ardent supporter who has been by his side amid his loneliest days in life. However, as the street lights dimmed one night, there were a number of thieves that took Buddy. They didn't know much. This dog was much more than a simple companion, and his owner a man with unshakable determination and an iron will I wouldn't do anything to get my Buddy back. Keanu's journey is more than a simple rescue job. It develops into a showdown. Considering the sinister motivations behind these heinous acts, you are engrossed in heart-pounding action throughout the story. Emotionally charged moments, and above all a strong comment. Loyalty and love are stronger than anything else. Are you all set? Enter the heartfelt and gripping world of Keanu. Also, you won't want to miss this journey. Let the story start. The heights of Brooklyn on a morning in early May was crisp and serene. The sun's initial rays were filtered by willows, tree-lined streets, red brick homes, glowing with pristine white window frames. A tiny scent of blooming flowers was in the air. And coffee from the comfortable sidewalk cafes. Keanu Reeves, donning casual athletic garments, happily strolled with his Pitbull Buddy. Piercing eyes and sleek fur. Attention is always drawn to Buddy. But Buddy's eyes were what really set him apart. He shared an unbreakable bond with Keanu. Buddy was a soul mate, not just a dog. A companion that is steadfast during the most lonely periods of Keanu's life. It's such a lovely day, Buddy. Ideal for a run. Keanu uttered. His voice was soft, like though he were speaking to an old friend. Buddy's head lifted upon hearing the familiar voice. Ears perked up, excitedly tail wagging. Every morning Buddy would be taken to Brooklyn Bridge Park by Keanu. It was not only a routine, it was the calmest part of his day. Buddy darted around the park, investigating each favorite nook. Keanu watched him carefully from a wooden bench. Reminiscences of his first encounter with Buddy flooded back. Like a movie that plays slowly. 3 years prior, a charity visit to a shelter for animal rescue on Manhattan's outskirts. At the time, Keanu had discovered a Buddy. Being a skinny pup, Buddy, fear filled his eyes. However, keeping a glimmer of hope, the employees clarified that Buddy had been left behind, and his prior owner abused him frequently. Pit bulls are misinterpreted. They claim that although they are strong, they are not naturally violent. All Buddy needs is someone to love him. An inexplicable pull was felt by Keanu toward the dog. His hand got through the kennel bars, allowing Buddy to make the final decision. Nevertheless, he moved closer and gently licked Keanu's hand. A slight trust gesture. Without hesitation, "I'll take him," as Keanu said. From that point on, they were a part of. Buddy wasn't just a dog to each other. He became the light that saved Keanu. After the death of a loved one, during his darkest days, Keanu felt as though the world had lost its significance. Nevertheless, Buddy's unwavering loyalty and pure love assisting him in rediscovering life alone. They spent quiet evenings by the fire and morning runs together. Buddy was always with him. Additionally, Keanu vowed that nothing would ever hurt Buddy. Like so many others, that day Buddy wandered throughout the park, advanced in every tree and path. An elderly lady named Emily came up to Buddy, holding a bag of treats. She called, "Come here." When Buddy ran to her, he stopped, staring back at Keanu. If considering approval, go on, Buddy. Emily chuckled as Keanu said with a smile, "Having a Buddy is a blessing. He is such a wonderful dog." Keanu nodded. "His eyes are so soft that I believe I'm the lucky one. He has altered my life without my knowledge." In a shadowy Brooklyn Heights corner, the curb identified an old van. 3 men were watching intently inside. They belonged to a group that targeted attractive people, selling expensive dogs to underground markets. Alternatively, illegal organizations. Consider that among them, one whispered, darting through the park and pointing at Buddy. "That perfect build of Pitbull, strong and fit for a fortune. He will sell." "But whose dog is it?" Another hesitating ask. "Whose it is unimportant to us. After we established a target, The leader said icily, "We don't miss moving quickly. Do not leave any trace." That afternoon, Buddy and Keanu went back to their house on Willow Street. Pouring sunlight through the windows illuminating the room, with a warm glow spread Buddy on the wooden floor after playing for a day. His breathing became soft. Sunking into his armchair, Keanu exploring the window, he recalled those early days spent with Buddy. The nights after his nightmares, only to discover Buddy lying right in front of his eyes. Declaring in silence that everything will be all right, Keanu stroked Buddy's head with his reach. "I swear, Buddy, that nobody will ever hurt you. I will always keep you safe." In response, Buddy licked his hand gently. "Thank you," in silence. But that evening, as the house's lights went out, the old van returned, and shadows crept closer. Discreetly parked along the road, the thieves approached Buddy after slipping over the fence, who was in the yard dozing off. Buddy sprang up in an inspirational way, carefully growing a warning. One of them yelled aggressively as Buddy lunged. However, the leader stayed calm. Getting a tranquilizer gun out, the silence was pierced by a muffled whip, and Buddy quickly felt helpless. The leader barked, "Get him!" Buddy was hoisted into the van and disappeared into the darkness, leaving no trace in their wake. Flickering lights on inside Willow Street's tiny house. However, there was an eerie silence in the air. Just back from a charity event, Keanu Reeves, when I saw the backyard door swinging open, I froze. There were obvious signs of a disturbance. The leash of Buddy was cut. On the ground, his water bowl had overturned, and when Keanu called his name, "Buddy," there was no sound. "Buddy," his voice pierced Brooklyn Heights' still night. However, the wind's whisper was the only reaction. Keanu started a frantic search through the trees. He ran along the park's path, examined each corner, and smashed through all the shadowed areas. Where the Buddy may be now, yet it was all for nothing. In his chest, a hollow ache started to develop. A few hours earlier, he had been consuming the calm he had known. Perching on his home's front steps in his hands, Keanu buried his face. Having trouble stopping the growing panic, remembering his first meeting with Buddy, his mind was overflowing. He recalled those pain-filled eyes. However, glimmering with optimism when he made the decision to take him home, he had been saved by Buddy. The reason he made it through his darkest moments, he was unable to let go of Keanu. Burning away his helpfulness is determination. He murmured, "If someone took Buddy, they will cover the cost." He chose the closest location to begin his search. Buddy's spare collar armed Brooklyn Bridge Park. Keanu hoped that someone had heard or seen something. In the park, he discovered Emily. Buddy, the old woman, adorned upon learning about Buddy's disappearance. "Oh no." Her face flushed. "It's awful that I didn't see anything. However, I have heard rumors of a group stealing dogs in this vicinity for sale." Are her words a glimmer in the darkness, in your opinion? Keanu thanked her and departed right away. His thoughts are racing. The group was the first and only lead he had, according to Emily. Returning home, Keanu quickly looked up a familiar name on his phone. Mark, a former private investigator in New York, and an old friend. Mark had a good connection and knew the underworld of the city better than most. "It's been a while since I've seen what's going on." As he responded, Mark's voice was intrigued but worried. "Keanu's missing," Buddy said, attempting to maintain a steady voice. "I believe a dog theft ring has taken him. I need your assistance." Mark remained silent for a while before answering. "I've heard of a Brooklyn dog theft operation. More recently, they target expensive breeds, such as Pitbulls, usually selling them for the black market or dog fights, but it won't be easy to track them down. I must do it regardless of how difficult it is." Firmly, Mark signed. Keanu said, "Okay, send me any information you have. I will begin digging." In the meantime, on the Brooklyn waterfront in an old warehouse, the canines were examining their most recent capture. A heavy-leashed Buddy, chain notwithstanding his captivation, lay quietly in a corner. His eyes remained fierce and unyielding. He wasn't frightened. He was waiting for a chance to defend himself. The leader stated, This one is strong. We can sell him for a high price if we tap the chain. Or, to get some extra cash, put him in a fight beforehand. I'm warning you to be careful around him. Loyal pit bulls, he's probably already considering how to get out. The president sneered. I will then ensure that he is not given the opportunity. Following a restless night, Keanu's phone exploded. I have some information about it. According to Mark, there is a warehouse located in East Brooklyn. Often, dogs are kept there before being sold. However, pay attention to Keanu. These individuals pose a risk. Many thanks, Mark. I'll take care of it, Keanu. Mark is interrupted. Don't act carelessly. I will accompany you if you require backup. Buddy's family. Mark with a tiny smile from Keanu. I am unable to wait much longer. He started getting a small backpack ready. A metal rod and a flashlight for protection. He was aware that the search would not be simple. However, his love for Buddy overcame all fear. Before departing, Keanu took a quick look at a picture on the table. He and Buddy were in the park. As though nothing could ever separate them, they both smiled. Buddy, wait for me. I'm bringing you home, he whispered. Brooklyn Heights, deep in the amber streetlight dim glow the moment Keanu Reeves left his home, a tiny backpack overlaid his shoulder, and his eyes were filled with determination. According to what the lead Mark had given, he headed east. Up to the river's dilapidated warehouses. Every step wasn't just hope, but the searing pain, too, and decide to bring his faithful companion back. Buddy Keanu was forced to recall the days he had spent filming. Action filmies, each scene was meticulously choreographed. Without actual risk to him, however, this time, there was no script. There was no safety net, and the baby was truly in danger. The belief that Buddy was misinformed or pulling him into dog fights caused him fury. He told himself that Buddy is family, and I refuse to allow anyone to harm him. Per Mark, the dog thieves often use the warehouse next to an old dock, identified by a faded No. 14 painted over IT metal doors. As they were approached by Keanu, it was a very quiet place. The wind blew through openings in collapsing walls. Additionally, the river gently sank against the shore. Increasing the air's oppressive tension, he crouched behind a shipping container that was rusted. Viewing from a distance, there is a gray van SAT parked outside the warehouse, so it's safe enough. It matched what Emily had described. The thieves' van for snatching Buddy. Keanu crept closer with care to avoid sounding via a crack in the door to the warehouse. Inside, he peered. 5 or 6 dogs were chained to a sturdy position. There were iron posts and a Buddy in the corner. His leash was securely fastened. Nevertheless, Buddy's demeanor was unshakable. His eyes shone with power. As though anticipating the ideal moment, 3 men nearby the dog talks as it stands there, crude and callous laughter. That Pitbull belongs to me. One of them made a point about Buddy. Next time, we'll sell him for a dog fight. The price will be paid through the roof each week. This Keanu clenched his fists as I hearted it. Although he knew better, he still wanted to charge in. A single impact might endanger Buddy even more. He retreated. To believe that contacting the police wasn't a choice they would leave prior to their arrival, it wasn't feasible to charge in head first either. He was outnumbered by the armed thieves. However, Keanu's calmness and inventiveness were an advantage. Out of his backpack, he took out a flashlight and a tiny iron rod. He intended to cause a distraction. After luring the thieves away, save the Buddy, Keanu walked quietly to the rear of the building. A broken window foundation, he grabbed a tiny rock and hurled it toward the van. Throughout the night, the sharp clang reverberated, getting the attention of the chief. Which of them shouted what? A thief stepped outside. Go check it out. Hand Keanu waiting in the shadows with flashlight. Upon turning over, the man Keanu successfully using the rod to strike the back of his head without making a sound, the chief collapsed. Keanu went back to the store. The other 2 thieves, however, had recognized that something was amiss. A person is present, and one of them yelled. They took a knife and a wooden club as weapons. and goad in his direction. Keanu was aware that confrontation was inevitable. Tightly gripping the iron rod, one of the chiefs lunged with a knife. He broke himself. However, Keanu snubbed his arm and sidestepped. The other chief swung the club after disarming him. However, Keanu spun around, landing his ribs with a forceful blow. The battle was fierce, but the agility and experience of Keanu, within moments, he gave him the upper hand. On the ground, both men were incapacitated. Having neutralized the immediate threat, Kidda hurried over to Buddy's side. "It's me, Buddy." His voice trembled with relief as he whispered. Buddy's head lifted as recognition lights up his eyes. Keanu unfastened the leash quickly, stroking Buddy's head gently and censoring his constant breathing. "We're leaving this place." Keanu said that Buddy licked his hand in response, an unwavering trust gesture outside the warehouse. The leading Buddy dialed the police, Keanu providing the location to them, and the thieves' details as we wait for them to arrive. Buddy and Keanu at by the river. Shimmering city lights on the water surface, his head rested on Keanu's leg. He seemed to be saying that he knew he was safe now. Keanu passed a hand through the fur of Buddy, his voice is gentle. "But it's clear that you're home now, Buddy. Nobody will ever take you away." The following morning, Brooklyn looked remarkably calm. The river bank in the sunlight where Keanu Reeves' satisfaction with his side Buddy despite Buddy's recovery, lingering caution, reflected in Keanu's sharp gaze. What happened the night prior were more than just a small theft. He detected a larger object. A shadowy force that has not been completed upon the arrival of the police at Warehouse 14. They were led inside by Keanu, handcuffing the two other thieves, angry, grumbling despite not daring to meet Keanu's stunning glow. However, he remained near his owner. The men who had imprisoned him had his keen attention. A policeman got up to Keanu, exhausted from the long night. "Who was it?" "Mr. Reeves in the van. We found a few suspicious documents. This seems to be a part of a major operation of illegal dog trafficking." Keanu nodded. His gaze remained fixed on the handcuffed thighs. "Not only did they take Buddy, in the warehouse, I saw other dogs chaining up. They also deserve to be protected." The officer wrote, "We'll look into this further. However, if this is actually a part of a big organization, they won't let this go easily. So you need to be careful." Keanu spent the morning at home, caring for Buddy. He looked at all of the dog's minor wounds, listening to him with his inner quiet voice. Buddy, despite being drained from the orders, silently remained at his side. Having total faith in his safety, however, Keanu's mind was unable to relax. He recalled the papers that the police had brought up. Lists of illegal kennels, dog breed addresses, and a single name used many times. It was an underground organization called Black Paws, famous for hosting dog fights that aren't legal. About the noon mark, Keanu, his detective friend, "I was informed of the warehouse incident. You've completed a massive activity, however. You must be aware of this. It's not a small-time group, Black Paws. Everywhere they have eyes. Additionally, they won't be pleased that you interrupted their business. The mark of my family is Keanu Paws, Buddy. I can't just watch helplessly. Then use caution and warning. If you choose to go further, give me a call, and I'll help you." Keanu was getting ready for bed that night. An unusual thing occurred despite the fact that it was already past midnight. The doorbell rang. Keanu goed to the door through the peephole and peered. There was nobody there, but there was an envelope on the doorstep. Opening it, he picked it up. A Buddy photograph was contained. Not the kid who was currently lying safely next to him, however. Buddy was caught in the warehouse. Fear filled his eyes. The words were scrawled in red ink beneath the picture. "Don't interfere with our business. It won't just be the dog the next time." Keanu had a tight grip on the photo, surging anger through him. Black Paws was keeping an eye on him, so this was no idle threat. And they identified him exactly. However, rather than fear, only his determination was aided by the message. "Nobody threatens Buddy," he said. "Moreover, nobody threatens me tomorrow morning." Mark was called by Keanu. "Do you know anything more about Black Paws?" Mark sighed heavily over the phone as he asked. Very dangerous are black paws. They capture dogs from everywhere. Creative fighting machines for them, and present criminal dog fights those fights, and the money they make despite being in the millions. It gets worse. They do not only damage animals, anyone who gets in their way will be pursued. Is it possible to shut them down? Keanu asked for the resolute voice. Dismantling their entire operation is the only option. Mark was replaced, but it's not a simple task. You must be aware of who is in the lead. Moreover, more crucially, you would need to be prepared to deal with the repercussions. Keanu sat quietly, lost in thought. He wasn't the type to look for conflict. However, he realized that he couldn't leave this time. The other dogs, including Buddy, required protection. Mark and Keanu started making plans. Directions for inflating black paws. They found out that the company a large dog fighting event was hosting near the outskirts of Brooklyn, Indiana, a secret location relating to the organization. Keanu would need to pretend to be a buyer. Affected by dog fighting, the gamble was dangerous. You must exercise extreme caution. Emphasize Mark, they will recognize you if you make even one mistake. I have no choice, Keanu stated unequivocally. I'll back down if they think so. The 5th chapter is incorrect. Amid the night's darkness, like Keanu was in black. The event of Paul's underground dog fight, passing as a strong investor in the underworld of criminality, wearing a dark suit, having a commanding presence, and a stony gaze. Those around him gave him wry glances right away. Mark kept an eye on him from afar. Through a small communication devices. In the event that something goes wrong, I'm 500 meters away. Mark's voice buzzed softly in Keanu's ear, signaling me. Blood and feces stank in the oppressive air. Dogs were made to engage in combat with one another. The pain and fear in their eyes. Keanu was required to talk about everything. In order to control the anger rising in him, a single idea recorded in his mind: I'm going to stop this. A black pause was quickly attended by Keanu, middleman handler overhauling transactions. He was led to the VIP area by the man, where the actual deals occurred. Stacks of thick files were observed by Keanu. Detailed lists of dogs that have been captured and the organization's innovative operations. Amid the documents, he was able to identify the addresses of other warehouses. And Black Paw's mastermind's name: I want the best fighting dogs, Victor Kane. Keanu's lowly, authoritative voice: I've heard that you're the ones to see. That's correct, the handler grinned. But it's hard to work with us. You will need to demonstrate your credibility. Replied fine. Keanu, unwavering his gaze. Show me what you have. While the handler was out retrieving records, Kane used a tiny camera, discreetly a button to photograph the documents hidden in his shirt. Through his earpiece, Mark's voice could be heard. I have the pictures. This will suffice to take them down. You must leave right away. Prior to Keanu's departure, Kane Victor enters the room, a large man with piercing eyes and a silver beard. He had a menacing air of authority. You're a new Victor. His deep voice is both soothing and authoritative. Yes, Keanu stayed composed. I've heard you're the greatest. I want to work with you. Victor looked at him for a while. We'll see how his sharp gaze probes. I constantly assess the loyalty of my partners. Disprove yourself, signaled Victor, and the room was dragged with a trembling dog. The creature looked at Keanu with wide-eyed fear. Keanu's heart got tighter. Shoot it if you're one of us. Victor directed Keanu to give a gun. It was as though the room froze. Grabbing the weapon, Keanu's mind raced. He was aware that this was the only opportunity he had to save the other dogs and dismantle the company. Keanu didn't say, in case you didn't know, I don't work with monsters. Everyone was astonished by the refusal. As he barked, Victor's eyes narrowed. To access him, Keanu leave the room. Starting a chaotic path. Mark is working outside. The security system was breached. Head west down the hallway. Create a clear path. Mark instructed me to wait for you. Keanu released as many captive dogs as he could while he was running. His protective intent is sensed by the animals. Followed him in a desperate and hopeful frenzy. They created a chaotic exodus together. Distracting the guards further upon Keanu's arrival, at the exit Mark had a car and was waiting. As they leave, the air was filled with the distant sound of police sirens. Earlier, Mark had summoned a SWAT team, and Black Paws was apprehended while off duty. Winner on the spot, Kane and his main operators were apprehended. The end of their reign of cruelty. Brooklyn returned to its serene normalcy the following day. The dogs that were rescued were transported to shelters where they got care and started to find new homes with love buddies, healing wounds, connected with newfound joy around Keanu's home. Besides Keanu drinking coffee, Mark sat. Keanu, you did well. Those dogs are safe, and Black Paws is finished. But I know you took a lot of risks. Keanu gave a warm smile as she watched. Buddy, family isn't only people, and I don't regret it. It is our job to protect lives. Unable to defend himself, Mark nodded. Keanu, you are a hero not only to Buddy, but to everyone. Keanu smirked as she gently scratched behind her ears. A hero is not necessary for me. I simply want more days like this one to be peaceful. The window was streamed by sunlight, bringing warmth into the room for everyone. It was a new beginning. We appreciate you coming along on this emotional journey with us. With Buddy and Keanu, if you found this story entertaining, remember to hit like, spread the word of love and loyalty by share for more inspiring. Subscribe to our channel. And feeling content, please comment below with your thoughts. We look forward to hearing from you. And never forget to love and cherish what you have will always be your best assistance. I appreciate you reading, and I hope to see you in the next story.